And we're rolling live. It's Friday Facts with the Boxer team, Ian and Andrew in the house. Andrew's going to give you the facts in just a minute, and then we want to talk a little bit about just current events and what's going on in the market. And we were having a discussion about some things we thought were real interesting that you guys would want to know about the Silicon Valley and beyond.
Sure. So we actually had 678 active listings on the market, so things are picking up a little bit. It's still far short of kind of a regular market of around 1,400 to 1,500 active homes, but it's actually creeping up, which is a good thing for our inventory. The average sale to list price ratio is 112%. That's a jump from a month ago where it was 110%, significantly higher than the 106% that was predominantly last year, for most of the months of last year. Our average sales price is now $1,450,000 in the county of Santa Clara. Wow. So it's pretty high.
Yeah, it's gone up quite a bit in just a short period of time. So part of the things we were talking about earlier, and you, I know Andrew has a lot of insight on this. Because prices are so high, we've been, as a team, have been expanding out and going to areas, mostly for price points for our clients that need lower price points. I mean, what are you seeing out there? What's happening with prices in the East Bay and beyond?
Sure. So I find that, prices in the East Bay are generally, in Alameda County specifically, they don't tend to be as crazy, as aggressive as things are in Santa Clara County. Sure. However, we are seeing an uptick in activity in terms of aggression, in terms of how many offers are going out there, in terms of how high the offers are going. And I think a big part of that is that a lot of people from Santa Clara, for example, can't afford homes, so some people are being displaced that way. The other thing that I think is happening is, to a certain extent, San Jose very much is the beneficiary right now of the Google effect, the Google bump.
Yep.
The fact that they're going to build, campus in Diridon Station, they're going to employ, 15 to 20,000 new Google employees. That's going to have a huge impact on the San Jose market. But because by the time they come to Diridon Station, there's going to be BART. Hopefully, BART will be extended all the way down to Diridon Station at that point as well. Because of that, I feel like everything along the BART corridor is also getting kind of a bit of an uptick as people are doing kind of pre-spec buying, because they anticipate the fact that people are going to have to, move out of San Jose, and they'll want to be along the BART corridor. So
sorry, guys, minor interruption. We are live. So I think the big, I think that we were talking about the Google bump and the effects and BART. I think one of the interesting things we were talking about, and with a lot of people who are both investing and who are buying, I feel like people here are really looking at the long-term outlook. Is that something you're finding?
Oh, definitely. People are in it for the long haul.
Sorry, guys, someone really wants to get a hold of Ian right now, apparently.
So people are in it for the long haul. I've been telling my clients, a lot of them are really worried about buying at the top of a market, because things have been such a bull market for so long lately. I like to tell people, in general, as long as you hold your property for at least 7 to 10 years, you should be okay, because Bay Area prices have never trended negatively over a 10-year period. However, even in the short term, we're seeing a lot of strength in the market, because most of this, in my opinion at least, most of this increase in housing prices has a direct correlation with the high salaries and the people coming to the Bay Area with these high salaries. Because we're having an influx of engineering talent and business talent that have the salaries to throw around to basically compete for the limited amount of housing we have here, there's only really one place for the prices to go. Now, there may be a downturn at some point if there's a huge tech crisis and for some reason there's another, .com bust type of thing, but we're not really seeing that, and there are really no indications that that's going to really happen, because, AI and machine learning are kind of the future, and the Bay Area is specifically geared for, profiting from that.
So you already jumped into my question I was actually going to ask you, which was what you think would be a potential downturn.
Sure.
Now, that being said,
that's
what are some things that could cause a
downturn?
downturn?
Sure. So, like I said, the big thing that I think would cause a downturn, taxes are one thing. I don't think that's going to matter as much as the incomes. Possibly, like I said, the big thing that could cause a monkey wrench would be the macro issue with the Bay Area, tech in general specifically, and then the other things that could possibly be an issue would be, natural disaster type things, even though I think we would recover very quickly because there's a lot of investor money. The bigger thing might be, externalities like maybe a threat of war or something like that.
Sure.
Something really big,
something
but like
way out there.
Yeah, that you can't really predict and you can't really anticipate, but something like that could very well, affect Bay Area prices. But short of that, I don't see anything really that can really put a dent in it because it's just a pure supply and demand equation, and because the supply is so short and the demand is so high, that's just really going to get you high prices.
So really, all you're saying is, without supply, this train's going to keep moving, and it's moving hard, it's moving fast, and it's going to keep moving unless there's something to change the supply and demand.
Between 2010, in the past 7 years, I believe the population of California increased by 6%. That's another 2 million people who basically moved to the major metropolitan hubs. So that's a lot of people to absorb, and we're just going to have to absorb more and more people as the tech companies hire more and more people to fill out their campuses.
Yeah, and an interesting phenomenon, people are coming, but people aren't leaving in droves. You always said people will make comments offhand like, people are leaving the Bay Area in droves. I'm not seeing that. Mm-hmm. It's very few and far between. Now, oftentimes, in certain neighborhoods and certain very key desirable areas, the only time we have a house to sell somebody is when somebody's leaving the area.
Right, and that's actually, I think, one of the contributing factors for why we have such low inventory right now is because people love staying in the Bay Area, and so they want to, maybe trade up or trade down, but they can't actually get into a home, and so they don't want to sell their current home. And so we have this kind of cycle where nobody wants to put their home on the market.
Well, I think an interesting thing, say somebody were to want to downsize into a townhome or something. Well, we've seen this phenomenon recently where like a townhome that we offered on that went 50% above list price in Santa Clara. And so, if there is a big fear to be had where, hey, I sell my home thinking, say maybe you're thinking you could buy an $800,000 townhome, but sell your $2 million house or something, buy an $800,000 townhome, because that would make sense. And then the $800,000 townhome goes for $1.2 million, and your $1.2 million townhome, now that person has lost that bit of return. So there's sort of fear around making moves in a frozen market.
Right. Yeah. I think one of the other issues that we have to be cognizant of right now too, especially for buyers, is with this kind of hockey stick growth, like I like to say, like for housing, it's really difficult for people who are on the edge in terms of being able to barely afford their down payment. And the reason for that is because when housing prices skyrocket like that, comparable sales don't support appraisal prices. And so a lot of people have trouble appraising their homes. And so, a lot of times, even if you have the best offer, but it looks like it won't appraise, the sellers or the seller's agent will want to go with an offer that's maybe cash or that doesn't have an appraisal contingency because it's such a big issue right now. For a lot of those clients, I'm telling them, we're really waiting for kind of a pullback so that the market flattens, so that we actually have a month or two of, or maybe at least a couple weeks of comps that can support the appraisal values that we're offering at.
Yeah, if we look back even I think the last 5-6 years, it's not a straight line up.
Right.
If you ran a line through the dots, it's a straight line up.
Right.
But you look at the pricing over the last few years, there are little ups and downs. So there are actually points in the last 6-7 years where there have been dips.
Right.
It's generally going up, but there's dips. So for many people buying, we always say we got to look for the opportunities within the market. Little things, current events, funny, any number of things, or a sudden spike in inventory, which does happen, especially if you go to the micro market, a very specific neighborhood where people are looking, and maybe that market's been so tight, and then, you're getting like 1 or 2 houses a week or none in certain neighborhoods, and then you suddenly get one random week where there's 7 or 8 houses, that can cause a small, sudden opportunity in the market. So I think, like you said, we got to look for those windows of opportunities, but, people have to be patient. If they're just with the hockey stick curve, like you said, there's just certain things, times that we just can't do anything.
Right. Or if it gets very difficult.
It gets difficult. All right. Well, it's been Friday Facts. You got any final thoughts?
Out there? That's good.
All right. This was us live, Botcher team. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll talk with you all soon.
Thank you.